I want to talk about coats of arms. Now, a common misconception about coats of arms is that a coat of arms belongs to a surname. Now, this misconception is perpetuated by all the places that sell these surname coats of arms, particularly online. These places are collectively known as bucket shops. A coat of arms historically was granted to a specific individual, not to a name. But part of where the misconception started is a coat of arms could be inherited, and it was passed down generally father to son through the generations. But usually, in order to be entitled to the coat of arms under the traditional heraldic rules, you would have to be descended from the direct male line from the person who it was originally granted to. Now, the surname coats of arms are beautiful works of art, and but that's what they are, works of art. A surname coat of arms is a work of art you can hang on your wall and enjoy, but it's not a personal logo or a personal. It's in the sense that a actual granted coat of arms would be. But there are three ways in which a person can get a coat of arms. One is to have them granted either by a king or by some other heraldic authority, such as the College of Arms, Court of Lord Lion, or the Chief Herald of your country. Now, nowadays, most countries don't have a Chief Herald that grants coats of arms to people. In the United States, there's no official agency to grant coats of arms. Now, a grant of a coat of arms is typically made by a legal document known as a letter patent. Now, a letter patent is an open letter. They usually start with the phrase, "To all and singular to whom these presents shall come," and they have a official seal affixed to them. And now, a letter patent for a coat of arms is usually it's as much a work of art as a legal document, and they can be quite elaborate with being hand painted and having fancy script and so on and so forth. Now, in countries that do grant coats of arms, the cost is generally prohibitively expensive for most people. It's on the order of several $1,000s in most of the countries that have official agencies that grant coats of arms. Another way to get a coat of arms is obviously to inherit it. Usually it has to be through the direct male line. In Scotland, it actually has to be through the direct male line of eldest sons. And the third way to get a coat of arms, if your country doesn't have a heraldic authority that grants them, is to assume arms. What assume arm means is to design them yourself. Now, there are some basic rules that you need to follow when designing a coat of arms yourself if you want it to be heraldically correct. The first and foremost rule is don't copy somebody else's design. That's actually plagiarism, and in most cases copyright infringement. to copy somebody else's design. The next rule, one of the most important rules of heraldic design, is what's known as the rule of tincture. What that rule states is that metals, the colors white and yellow, or argent and or, as they are known in heraldry, are called metals because they represent the metals gold and silver. Metals should not be placed on top of colors, and colors should not be placed on top of metals. Now, colors means green or vert, red or gold, blue or azure, black or sable, orange or tawny, and purple or purpure are the colors in heraldry. Now they have those unusual names because blazons, heraldic blazons, were originally written in the language of Norman French, and that's where those names come from, like azure for blue and sable for black. The reason for the rule of tincture is contrast. So the shield will have good contrast and be easily, the design will be easily recognizable, especially at a distance. Another rule of heraldry concerns charges on the shield. Charges should be large in size and few in number. This is again so that they be easily visible across a field, because the original purpose of coats of arms is to identify knights in battle and in tournaments, because wearing their steel armor, they kind of all looked alike, so they used the designs on their shield to identify themselves, and that's really how coats of arms got started in the first place. And another rule is, concerning the charges, they should be, like I said, highly visible. Another rule is you shouldn't use too many tinctures. You should have at least one color and one metal on your coat of arms. You can have 3 tinctures, that's fine. 4 is kind of pushing it, and if you have more than 4, you probably have too many. Another rule concerns division of the field. If you're designing a brand new coat of arms, it should be made apparent that the design is one design and not a combination of multiple designs. For that reason, you should not use a quartered shield in a brand new coat of arms, because a quartered shield, where it's divided into 4 parts, usually means that the shield is a combination of multiple coats of arms, because sometimes a person might inherit more than one coat of arms under some circumstances, and they're combined in that way. Or sometimes when a couple would get married, the wife's arms and the husband's arms would be combined into a single shield that way. Now, if you use a division such as per pale, which means in half vertically, or per fess, which means in half horizontally, or per bend or per bend sinister, both in half diagonally, you should make the design in such a way that it is clearly apparent that it's one design and not a combination of multiple designs. Now, another important part of heraldry is blazonry. Now, what a blazon is it's a concise written statement using heraldic terminology and a specific formula that describes the design of the coat of arms. Now, a coat of arms is defined by its blazon, which means a coat of arms can be rendered or drawn, painted in many different ways, so long as they conform to the blazon. and as long as they conform to the blazon, they are considered to be the same coat of arms. Now, the first thing you describe in a blazon is the division of the field and its tinctures. Now, if the field is undivided, you start by mentioning the tincture of the field, which is the field means the background of the shield. Next, you describe any ordinary on the shield. Now, an ordinary is a simple, standard geometric charge, such as a chevron, which is an inverted V, a fess, which is a band across the middle of the shield, a bend, which is a diagonal going from dexter chief to sinister base, and bend sinister goes the opposite way. A chief, which is a band across the top, and a tail, which is a vertical band down the middle. Now, I should mention what dexter and sinister mean. Dexter, when you're looking at a coat of arms printed on a piece of paper or on a computer screen in front of you, now the side on your left is dexter and the side on your right is sinister. The top of the coat of arms is chief, the middle is fess, and the bottom is base. Now, dexter and sinister would be reversed. If you were carrying the shield in battle, the dexter side would be on your right. It would be reversed of what it would be looking at a sheet of paper in front of you. And the ordinary. Now, if there is other charges on the ordinary, you preface the description of the ordinary with the word on, and next you describe the charges that surround the ordinary, and then finally the charges on the ordinary itself. Now, my surname is Kennedy, so I looked up Kennedy at several of the online bucket shop, family coat of arms places. Remember what I said about them earlier in the video. And there are actually two designs that they have available for the surname Kennedy. One is a Scottish design, I believe it is, that has a white shield with a red chevron between three crosslets stitchy. Now, what a crosslet stitchy is it's a cross whose arms are crossed, making them into smaller crosses, and it's got a pointed base. It's supposed to resemble a cross and a sword. Now, anyway, the blazon for that particular shield, which will use it as an example here, is argent, a chevron gules between three crosslets stitchy. Now, first, as mentioned, the field, argent, or white. Next, the chevron, which is mentioned as gules, or red. There are no charges on the chevron, so the word on is not used. And the chevron is surrounded by three crosslets stitchy sable, which means three crosslets stitchy black, which are black. So that's the blazon for that particular shield. Argent, a chevron gules between three crosslets stitchy sable. Now, the other design I found for my surname is an Irish design, which is a black shield with three helmets in profile, three silver helmets in profile. Now, the blazon of that shield would be sable, three helms in profile, argent, meaning it's a black shield with three helmets in profile, white. Now, those are two examples of blazonry. Another example of blazonry would be a shield I designed myself, which is a blue and white shield with a big gear countercharged on it, which means countercharged means the opposite colors. Now the blazon for that shield would be purple, azure, and argent, a gear countercharged. Now, first the division is mentioned, purple, in half vertically. Then the colors are mentioned. The color on the dexter side is mentioned first, followed by the color on the sinister side. Now if it's perfess, the color on the chief side is mentioned first, and the color in base is mentioned second. And that's how to blazon a coat of arms, a basic description of how to do it. And that's a little bit about coats of arms, and a little bit about how to design your own coat of arms. Now, if you need if you want to design a coat of arms, one thing that's very helpful is you can go to Yahoo or Google or some other search engine and search for Heraldic Photoshop custom shapes, and you'll find a bunch of shields and other custom shapes that you can use in Photoshop using the custom shape tool to help design your coat of arms. And designing a coat of arms can be really a fun exercise.